This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Good to see you all, but today we are starting today with a pretty tragic and horrible story. You probably have heard of it, and we are going to go into a nuanced conversation about it. 29-year-old Tyre Nichols was pulled over by police in Memphis for what they say was reckless driving earlier this month. He was then beaten by officers and died 3 days later. All 5 of those officers were now fired, and yesterday they were charged with second-degree murder. Now, I really want to emphasize this, a warning to our viewers. What you're about to see is inhumane and graphic. The family released this photo of Nichols in a hospital bed before his death. Now, an autopsy found he died of internal bleeding caused by the beating. Later today, Memphis police are going to release the body cam footage of the attack. Here's what the Memphis police chief told Don Lemon about the video. Let's take a look together.
You're going to see acts that defy humanity. You're going to see a disregard for life, duty of care that we're all sworn to, and a level of physical interaction that is above and beyond what is required in law enforcement.
So, the chief of police and members of Nichols' family are now calling ahead for peace ahead of these expected protests that might happen tonight. But Memphis and other cities are on high alert for the very real potential for violence. I have goosebumps all over just reading that. Let's talk about what you think of the case, and also, should the footage be released? I'm hearing it's worse than Rodney King by certain people, and we all remember Rodney King, of course, survived. Tyre, unfortunately, didn't. Erica, what do you think of the case and about the footage?
Well, here we are, day 20 since this beating and murder took place. And we have a group of officers who have been not only fired, but also charged. So 20 days, now we know that it's possible that justice can come swiftly. So I'd like for this case to set a precedence for that. In terms of the actual, I'm going to say X's and O's. That's not the way that I mean for it to come across. But there's been a lot of talk about race and the fact that these officers were black and that the victim was black, and that it's not a racial thing. It absolutely is a racial thing. It's about the, sometimes people are agents of the oppressors. You'll hear ancestors say, all skin folk ain't kin folk. You are absolutely doing, towing the line of the blue as opposed to the line of anything else. This is a policing issue, and it's about the value that people of color are seen with in this country, and that's why it's easy to treat them like chattel, like I'm sure we'll see in the video when it's released.
Well, yeah, but you know, a lot of times with their chattel, you at least want them to live so that they can continue to work for you. So they didn't even treat him like that, Erica. So maybe that's something that they can aim for, as well as just being human beings.
You think they should release the video, Al?
I do. I think we need to see this. I mean, I keep thinking, what would the George Floyd case have been had there been any obstruction, had it been at night, had there been any way for all the people that were looking for, that had to ultimately settle on he's a fentanyl addict, whichever, everybody's like, get out of here. But if there was any obstruction, if it wasn't broad daylight,
totally,
what would that case have been? There would have been a million other networks, we'll leave their names out of it, that would have loved a reason to say, like, well, look, you can see he's trying to get up here. It was just, you know, cut and dry. And I think that's why we need to see this, because if we don't, it's just going to open the door to conspiracy theory, and you know, he actually hit his head skateboarding and this was actually a skateboarding accident. We need to see this. We need to see who we are, and we're not allowed to run from that. We all can't, you know, we can't just say America's hamburgers and apple pies. We need to see what we are, and I mean, in a way, we don't. I mean, look at this week on DBL. We didn't cover really maybe one or two of the mass shootings we had that kicked our week off, and we end the week with the murder of a black man at the hands of a police. So I call that a full 5 days in America. So I think we need to see it, and we need to see who we are and at least not be able to lie to ourselves. There is going to be violence tonight. We do not want that. I do not advocate for that because that's going to be more black lives injured and taken, and I don't want to see anything happen to any police officers either. But, you know, then we'll have this conversation next week, Erica, and we'll be talking about, well, they did a lot of damage downtown, and then we'll have that conversation. So we've kind of had this conversation before. The one nuance is that, you know, they were black police officers, but if you remember, if you don't go to sleep, guys, remember life. Like, think about Boys in the Hood. The cops that were assaulting Doughboy and them were black police officers. And that was in 1990 or whenever that came out.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like, it's not crazy for a black police officer to brutalize the people in his own community.
Well, no. I mean, when you think of overseers, when in times of slavery, they were black too.
Yeah.
There were some people that Harriet definitely would have left behind.
Django Unchained comes to mind.
Yeah, but but this is the interesting part, and this is why I think it's important to at least acknowledge, because some people are like, well, it equals it out, or like there's an equalizer.
It cancels it out or something.
Like
right,
there's
right.
a black victim and then these are black police officers. No, it don't. It just shows you what the value is on both sides. Because if you'll remember, even going back to George Floyd, how long did it take for there to be not only a firing, there's been a lot of paid leaves for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd. All of those things have happened. There's been some time before we get charges, but it took 20 days. 20 days for those black officers to find out just how black they are in America. Because show me a precedence for that.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I do want to give you another clip. This is of his mother, who I can't imagine the pain she's suffering, Rovon Wells. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
He had bruises all over him. His head was swollen like a watermelon. His neck was busting because of the swelling. They broke his neck. My son's nose looked like an S. They actually just beat the crap out of him.
So I know, I don't know. I also think there will be riots or protests. Again, we're not advocating for that, but I think it's highly important that we bear witness. I really appreciate what you said. If I take it from my point of view in the Holocaust, people photographed that and took witness because you don't want to say it never happened. You don't want that to happen. Right. It's important we see it. And I know that's hard for people, and some people won't want to do that, but I think if we don't do it, we're missing an entire layer of American history.
Right.
Isn't it
oh, please.
Well,
please.
no, it's just, isn't it? And I'm saying interesting because, for lack of a better word, that we're seeing Till in cinema, but we're seeing Till in life.
Wow.
That was the first thing I thought when I saw that picture.
Wow.
That was the first thing I thought.
Is that right?
Oh, as soon as we showed that picture, that's
and
the first thing I
Mrs.
thought.
Till, his mother, had an open casket to make sure people bore witness to that brutality. Coming up on DBL, the latest on the side effects of that popular weight loss drug. Dr. Coley is joining us in studio to talk about Ozempic Face. What is it? It's not good. And our interview with the divorce coach gives her take on how to best get through the struggle of ending a marriage. It's a new year and DBL is all the talk.
Let's get it going.
We had a lot to talk about last year.
I'm flexing every day.
And we're not stopping in 2023.
I'll see you guys on the flip side.
For those that are affected by this to not engage in any sort of violence. We
Okay.
have to take that tack.
Okay,
We
great.
can't say we think there will be violence.
Okay.
In any way.
Okay.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
Hello.
I think I gotta move down. Yeah, I gotta move down to the blue.
To the orange, yeah.
All right.
Hey, Peter or BJ?
Peter is not here, but
Oh, I can't get to our early show, so I don't know what you guys are saying.
I don't know what it was a little fun.
But anyway, we're about to talk to Dr. Coley. My parents are actually both thinking about doing Ozempic, but again, if you are diabetic, which they both are, it's actually kind of hard to get the drug, so we're going to talk to Dr. Coley about that. And also Ozempic Face, which is not great. It's sort of like, it's sucked in, and I know you would know, but they're suggesting fillers and things like that, but it, I guess, takes out the fat in your face in a weird way.
What is?
Yeah, Ozempic, the weight loss drug.
Oh, God.
It's causing Ozempic face. No, it's an injection, and it helps you. A lot of people, like Kim Kardashian, a lot of people losing weight, and it actually is a good thing for many people, especially
No,
diabetic.
that's the same thing that diabetic people
Right, they can't get their
aren't able
hands
to
on
get
it.
because so many people
In
are trying to
Hollywood,
get
it's
it.
like all over the place. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about that. And also, Chelsea Handler said she didn't know, but she was on it. Her doctor is this anti-aging dude, and he like wanted her to have it, so she was injecting without knowing what it was. I have a hard time.
See, I have a hard time believing that. I have a friend who I know who is very,
Dude,
who's
it's an
been here
injection.
before, who is using it, and her response was, "Well,
Yes, I do.
they got diabetes." I was like, "Oh wow, that's not something that everyone can just like get rid of, you know?"
And my
Type 1.
dad went to the doctor, and he's like, I can't get my hands on it. Okay. And he's like, it would be really life changing for my family.
Ideally,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Hollywood.
Dropped 2 points.
Yeah.
Welcome back. All right. We've been talking a lot about this, about Ozempic, right? It's the weight loss drug. You inject it. It was originally for type 2 diabetes. It has exploded in popularity. But just how safe is it? Some have reported having a more aged and exhausted appearance after using it, which is now being dubbed the Ozempic face. Dr. Coley joins us so much. So thank you so much for being here to talk about it. Erica, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I'm curious about how Ozempic works and what's the deal with the Ozempic face, because I have some follow-up questions from this too.
So it's a real phenomena. It's not just a social media folklore.
You light up when you talk about this.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, well, it's a really great drug, but it is important to talk about the risks and side effects of it, because there's no such thing as a free lunch, you know. So you inject the drug. It works by actually changing your satiety signal in your brain. So it makes you feel a little bit more full after you eat, and it's a cumulative effect over time, and that goes up as you increase the dose of it. Now, if you think about the side effects, that'll create some nausea, some feeling of fullness, very effective at making you lose weight because you're eating a lot less. So you can lose up to 20% of your body weight. But when we look at our face, a lot of our face is fat. Oh. And fat is actually a friend when it comes to our appearance, because think about all the fat under our skin. It kind of stretches out the skin, makes it less wrinkly, makes it less saggy. So people who have more fat in their faces actually appear younger than those who have less fat. So when we lose fat all over our body, including our face, you actually get thinning of the face, and you then can start seeing more wrinkles.
That makes so much sense when you say somebody has a baby face, they have chubby cheeks. And yeah, that makes, I never
I
thought
just
about
heard
that.
fat is your friend. That's what I heard.
I know.
When I used to do fitness competitions, right before I would go on stage, I looked like the Crypt Keeper.
Is that right?
Yes,
I'm
my
sure you're
face was so
dehydrated
like gone. It was, yeah, it was terrible.
Oh, my
There's
goodness.
nothing you can really do about it in a situation like that.
Good Lord. All
Well,
right.
there are a lot of plastic surgeons that take fat out of your hips or somewhere else and actually inject it into your face, because again, it fills in all those wrinkles and fine lines.
Wow. Can you just go over a little bit some of the side effects again? I know there's nausea. Is there anything else that you feel other than the Ozempic face, the nausea?
Other than it affecting your face, are there problems?
You can have other GI side effects. So some people get severely constipated, and some people get bad diarrhea with it. And it can be really significant, life-altering type of diarrhea that you can have. One risk I do want everyone to be aware of if they're thinking about this medication, and this is a theoretical risk, but their FDA has actually put a warning in there about association with thyroid cancer. So in animals who've taken this, it can affect the way the thyroid cells work and actually increase risk of thyroid cancer. In humans, we don't know if our thyroid works exactly the same way as it does in animal models, but anyone who's had thyroid cancer or who has a family history of a thyroid cancer, especially one called medullary thyroid cancer, should not take this medication.
Oh, that's really important to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, scientists have been able to, I just read this in the New York Times, reverse aging in older mice. Okay, they regained eyesight, they developed younger brains, and they built healthier muscle tissue. So Dr. Coley, can aging be reversed? And if so, could we do this to humans?
So you want to take the Ozempic and lose the weight, and then you want to reverse the aging on your face.
I want to do it all.
Fix it without me doing anything.
Yeah, right. No work. Right.
I mean, this is incredible, guys, in terms of scientific
believe
breakthroughs.
this.
And yes, they reversed the aging in mice. So they did two things. First, they sped up the aging, so they wanted to see kind of what happens. Then they did the opposite. opposite. And what they were able to do was actually make them see again, change the age of their organs. And what we've learned is, and this is where scientists are now humbled by science again, we always thought that aging was a problem with the DNA.
Right.
You know, the hardware got clunky. It's like when your computer gets too slow, you got to throw it out and get a new one. What we've now realized with these mice is that aging is a software problem. So you just need a software update, or you need to restore it to its factory condition, and your computer will start running like new again. So this is called
Get that old Dell out of the garage.
That's right.
The old Dell.
This is called epigenetics rather than genetics. It's how our genes are expressed based on our behaviors. Now, the interesting ethical questions are, can we reverse aging in all the organs at the same rate? So if we have an old brain but a young body, what would that mean? And the other, of course, interesting ethical and scientific conundrum is that if we reverse aging too fast, we can actually cause cancer because you want to de-differentiate the cells. So you want to reverse it just the right amount.
Slowly.
And kind of all over the body at the same rate, because you don't want, you know, an old brain and a young body, or the other way around.
It's like a real-life Benjamin Button.
It really is. And imagine the mice. They're like, I am feeling better. You know?
You caught me last week. I was 99.
Yeah, I was so much
Now I'm
older.
9. Yeah.
Dr. Coley, thank you so much for being here and answering all of our questions. If you all have a question for Dr. Coley, just write us. You can also follow Dr. Coley on Twitter at PyleColeyMD. We could read your question on air.
And I'll get back to them, too.
Okay, great. This fake doctor will as well. We'll be right back. He's not real. Thank you.
The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, helps millions of Americans pay for groceries. But some recent viral posts claim that Republicans are proposing changes to the program so it covers fewer items, omitting staples like flour and fresh meat. So let's verify. Is there a bill in Congress that reduces what foods are eligible for SNAP? Our sources are Congress, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Iowa House of Representatives, and the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services. This claim actually stems from a bill proposed in the Iowa State House, not Congress. Among other changes, it would replace the list of SNAP-eligible foods with a more limited list from a different program. That program is designed to fight specific nutritional deficiencies, not hunger generally. So only an extremely specific list of products, down to the brand, size, and flavor, are eligible. Staples like fresh meat, flour, and white rice are not on that list. But this is a state bill in Iowa, and it hasn't passed. It's only been introduced. On top of that, even if it did pass, Iowa would then need to get permission from the USDA to change the food list, since SNAP is a federal program. And in terms of changing the food list on a federal level, we checked the current list of bills in Congress, and none of them so far address that issue. So we can verify, no, there is not currently a bill in Congress that reduces what foods are eligible for SNAP. There's only an Iowa-specific proposal. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter answers your questions, clarifies what's true and false, and even includes a daily fun fact. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. We've all heard that 50% of marriages end in divorce, but why don't we talk more about it? Well, earlier we did. We sat down with a divorce rehab coach. It was fascinating. Check it out.
Please welcome Wendy Sterling.
Yeah, Wendy!
Hi, everybody.
I'm glad to get to this, because as a divorced person myself, I really want to hear about your experience. Now, how did you know that it was time to get a divorce, and were you hesitant to tell the people around you? Because I know that was tough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I married my college sweetheart, and he happened to be a lawyer, which was a box that my family dreamed of me checking. And so while we were working on things in couples therapy, we did have some issues. I learned unexpectedly that he was actually having an affair. And that opened a very large can of worms for me, because what it exposed was that I had been living and engaging in a marriage that was rooted in codependency. So I was living in his vision of the world and the life that he wanted, instead of really focusing on what it was that I wanted. Wow. And so, yes, I was the one who initiated my divorce, and I was completely terrified to tell my family. In fact, it took me 2 weeks to tell my parents, who I'm super close with. And I was so embarrassed because I am the first one in my family to get divorced. But what it ended up teaching me is that the people that you love support you no matter what. And even more important than that is that it's crucial that you have support going through this time, because it's not something that you take or a course in.
How do you tell your kids? Are there do's and don'ts when talking to your children about this?
Yes, Jeff, there are. You know, my boys were 10 and 7 when their dad and I got separated. And what I believe is that what you tell them is very age dependent. Now, at the same time, there are rules that apply no matter what age your kids are. And number one is that your kids know that they had nothing to do with the decision that you and your spouse are making. And as a result, that you also love them no matter what. It is so important that your children know that they will continue to be a priority to both you and your spouse, because at the end of the day, the divorce is between you and them. It's not about your kids divorcing either one of your parents. So making sure that you are also not bad-mouthing the other parent in front of your children is so incredibly important. I'm sure you guys can relate to some of that as well. And, you know, it's just crucial that your kids know that you guys are aligned, because what can easily happen is if one person gets blamed, the kids then will start pointing fingers. And, you know, in my own story, my kids did actually hear me kick their dad out. And so I was blamed for quite some time. And I never spoke up about it because it wasn't the right time. Emotions were highly charged. Right. And what was most important to me was keeping my kids in the center instead of making them feel like they were in this tug of war, being in the middle.
Divorce is really expensive, and I think it keeps a lot of people in bad marriages. So what do you wish you knew before filing, monetarily, I guess?
Absolutely. So I really wish that I knew to stack away some cash. You know, I was not aware that when you utter those words, I want a divorce, that everything gets split from that point forward. So if your viewers can please take a piece of advice from someone who has been through this, you know, if you're at the grocery stores, take out an extra $100. If you normally take out a couple hundred at the ATM, take another, you know, $100 or $200 on top of that, so that you do have some cash stacked away. You know, everything gets divided, and it's so important that you think about this as a long-term marathon instead of it just being a sprint. You know, I hear all the time, I just want to be done, but you've got to be strategic. You've got to protect yourself, and more importantly, protect your children.
Wow. Man.
So much wonderful advice.
That is an expert.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
That's an expert.
And you're just easy to talk to. Wendy, thank you so much. We appreciate you. To our viewers, Wendy has great resources for you. Visit her website, wendysterling.net, where she offers coaching services. Also check out her podcast, The Divorced Woman's Guide, and keep an eye out for Wendy's book, Divorce Sucks, Now What? Out February 12th. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Welcome back. Erykah Badu's daughter is telling haters to have a window seat. Hear the shocking reason why Nia Long wasn't cast in Charlie's Angels. And I have some sweet ATL housewife peach tea in this week's What Erykah's Watching. First, Erykah Badu is being called out after her daughter Puma posted a pic of the two wearing form-fitting pants and striking a pose from behind. Now, haters commented that the pic was a bad look for Badu, but 18-year-old Puma responded by saying, "I'm an adult. What's the real issue? Let's discuss." And Erykah liked it. Now, here's what I think about the cheeky pic. Puma definitely got it from her mama. We see you, boo. Next, in a recent interview, Nia Long shut down rumors that she turned down Lucy Liu's part in Charlie's Angels to star in Big Mama's House with Martin Lawrence. And the real reason why she wasn't one of Charlie's Angels might just surprise you. Here's what Nia said.
Charlie's Angels did not want me because they said I looked too sophisticated and too old next to Drew Barrymore. I was like,
If you've seen The Best Man final chapters, Nia's black has definitely not cracked. So let's take a look at Nia and Drew side by side, shall we? Okay, I rest my case. And finally, here's what's being leaked about season 15 of the Atlanta Housewives. The Peach holders confirmed this season will include Kandi, Drew, Marlo, Sheree, Sonia, and Kenya. Plus, it looks like friend of the show, Manetta, is reaching for her peach. She introduced Kenya to a new man. He's rich and just so happens to be white. And for some reason, fans are shocked that the twirl is down with the swirl. Let's just say, I'm not. So share with me anything that catches your eye by using the hashtag DBL Erica Watch. We'll be right back.
The U.S. hit its debt ceiling this month. That's the cap imposed by Congress on how much money the Treasury can borrow to meet the government's financial obligations, such as paying Social Security benefits. Because Congress approved a budget that spends more than it takes in, the Treasury needs to borrow more to pay those bills. Congress is currently debating whether to allow that by raising the limit. Verify viewer Ryan wanted to know how often that happens. He asked, was the last time the debt ceiling was raised during Obama's presidency? We used these sources to verify. Congress has raised the debt limit 20 times since 2001, under the leadership of both parties. The most recent time was in December of 2021, when it was lifted by $2.5 trillion to bring it up to $31.385 trillion. So we can verify, no, the last time the debt ceiling was raised was not during Obama's presidency, it was just over a year ago. Lifting the debt ceiling does not authorize any new spending. It just allows the government to pay its existing obligations. Experts say if the limit doesn't get lifted and the country can't pay its bills, there will be catastrophic economic consequences. With your Fast Fact, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back to DBL. If your car is about to hit the 100,000 mile mark, mazel tov. But it's also time for some special maintenance. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Ox Car Care. Yeah. In addition to regular maintenance like checking your battery, tires, and filters, that six-figure mile mark should also include servicing engine belts and hoses. So don't underestimate this particular service. The timing belt keeps your engine working correctly, and without it, your car can break down and cost you more than it's worth. Ox Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience that works with your budget. If you're looking for a better car care, give them a call at 1-800-687-1821. Oxcar. Quickly, before we go, a black bear, speaking of animals, right here in Colorado, is loving all her angles. So she posed for more than 400 selfies in front of a motion-activated wildlife camera in Boulder. Some are calling her Kim Bear-Lee Kardashian. These cameras are meant to capture what wildlife is up to, and now we know. Girl, do it. Pose.
Okay, a little off-the-shoulder action.
Yeah, totally.
There was one that was definitely, it knew what it was doing.
It knew what it was
I thought
doing.
this was ridiculous, but then that first one I was like, that's
They know the
side.
angles. Yeah. It's sad when the bear can take better photographs than you. I'm terrible.
I'm really bad at photos.
We're awful at it. All right, listen, DBL's new every day. We will see you same time, same place Monday. Take care of yourselves.